what it is with Republicans and celebrity. That's not true. I do know what it is with Republicans and celebrity. What it is with Republicans and celebrity is that Republicans are so often ripped on by celebrities, out here in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. They spend so much of their day being ripped on by people out here that they get sad. And then when a celebrity comes forward and says, I'm with you, everybody gets super excited. Oh my gosh, that famous person's with me. And it's fairly typical. It's just a human nature thing. Like when I was growing up, I remember that a big hero in the Jewish community, and still is, was Sandy Koufax. Now, Sandy Koufax is not a practicing Jew. Sandy Koufax is not somebody who spends a lot of time thinking about Judaism. Sandy Koufax, I believe, is intermarried. But Sandy Koufax one time took off the day of Yom Kippur in the World Series. And this was a big move because Sandy Koufax is a celebrity. People are very, very taken in by celebrity. The problem is, a lot of celebrities are celebrities for things that have nothing to do with politics. So Roseanne was a celebrity because she's a funny lady who was on a show in the 90s that was actually quite to the left. And the same thing is true for Kanye West. As I say, live by the Kanye, die by the Kanye. I'm very glad that Kanye is saying that people ought to think for themselves, but Kanye is also Kanye, and he is apt to say things from time to time that may not be politically the wisest. You tie yourself to a celebrity, Kid Rock, who knows nothing about politics, and you shouldn't be surprised when he burns you. Okay, Republicans tied themselves to a celebrity in Donald Trump, and most of the things that have burned them about Donald Trump have come from him being a celebrity, not from him being the president. It's been him playing Celebrity Apprentice at the White House, or him during the campaign saying celebrity-like things, right? That's where most of the trouble for the Trump administration has come, not in his policy. His policy's been quite good. And well, now Donald Trump and Jared Kushner and the White House, they're inviting over Kim Kardashian. Now, why they would invite Kim Kardashian, I suppose it's because, yay, we have a celebrity, and Kim Kardashian is close to Kanye West. And maybe if we recruit some celebrities, then a lot of people will be warmer toward us, and we're showing that we're reaching across the aisle and all the rest. Kim Kardashian, okay, let's just say that the risk factor on Kim Kardashian is not low. Right? Kim Kardashian is not a low-risk figure. She's not a person who you have to the White House, and then you assume that she's going to be a grand spokesperson for your policies. Now, I understand Democrats could do this and get away with it because they could always hide one celebrity amidst the thousands of other celebrities they had. Democrats are not tied to particular celebrities in the same way that Republicans are. So Hillary Clinton was not tied to Harvey Weinstein in the same way that Donald Trump was sort of tied to Roseanne in this particular case, because Harvey Weinstein was one among thousands of Hollywood celebrities who supported Hillary Clinton. There are like 5 public celebrities who supported Donald Trump, and so Trump in the public eye is very tied to each of them. Well, now he's having Kim Kardashian to the White House, and he's having Kim Kardashian to the White House to discuss prison reform. Now, I am really luke cold on prison reform. I am not in love with a lot of the talk about prison reform. The reason being that it seems to me that the policy has not been clarified. In many cases, the prison reform they're talking about involves letting people out of prison too early, and the recidivism rate among those prisoners is like 75% over the course of the next 5 years. So letting people out of prison so they can go back in prison seems not to make a lot of sense to me. Now, what people have said is we're taking fewer people into American prisons and the crime rates aren't rising. Right, because we still have a lot of people in prison. But if you let more people out of prison, the crime rates rise. We've seen this in the state of California. In the state of California, Jerry Brown has let thousands of prisoners out of prison early on prison furloughs, and the crime rates have gone up relatively dramatically in most urban areas in the state of California over the last several years. Instead of building new prisons, he decided to release those people back to county level, and then those county level prisoners were released into the general public, and it's been quite a disaster. Well, now the White House is going to have Kim Kardashian over there to talk about prison reform, and apparently she is interested in pushing for the release of one particular prisoner named Alice Johnson. So who exactly is Alice Johnson, and why should she be released? The answer is that she shouldn't be released. And the answer is that Alice Johnson is a person who was convicted of a major drug offense in 1994. Not just a major drug offense, like trafficking in thousands of pounds of drugs. And she's being treated as though she's a wronged innocent. If you look at the left-wing press today, a lot of it is all about how Alice Johnson is a wronged innocent who ought to be released from prison because now she's older and she's wiser and she's a sweet, nice old lady and we ought to let her out. Well, I mean, she was sentenced for a reason. She was given life in prison. And the reason that she was given life in prison is because Alice Johnson committed some pretty terrible crimes. So she just, and she's never admitted to committing these terrible crimes, by the way. I love this. CNN printed a piece from her in early May. And the editor's note said this: Alice Marie Johnson is a grandmother who has served more than 20 years in prison for a first-time nonviolent offense. So that makes it sound like Alice Johnson was smoking dope in her backyard, and the police came in, and they arrested her, and then they gave her 20 years in prison. That is not what happened. According to Alice Johnson, that is what happened. And according to Alice Johnson, she says, I'm only one of thousands of first-time nonviolent offenders given mandatory and lengthy prison terms after committing crimes under financial distress. In 1996, I was given a death sentence without sitting on death row. I was convicted as a first-time nonviolent drug offender to life behind bars in federal prison. Since I went to prison, the laws governing my wrongdoing have changed. If I were convicted again today for the same crime, my life might look very different. And then she's written some plays, and she supposedly made herself into a better human being, and all of this. She says, before my incarceration, I had a full life. I married my childhood sweetheart. I became mother to 5 beautiful children. As the years went on, I became a facilitator, training people on how to be managers. I was a manager at FedEx for 7 years. Life for a time was good. So to return to our story, as you recall, Kim Kardashian, the Trump administration, they're all pushing for Alice Johnson to be released from prison. Again, there is a problem here. The problem is that Alice Johnson actually committed a pretty dire crime. She says she did not. She says, after almost 2 decades together and a tumultuous relationship, my husband and I divorced in 1989. It was during this time my life began to spiral out of control. I lost my job, and then my youngest son was tragically killed in a motorcycle accident. No mother should have to bury her child. This weight was unbelievable, and it was a burden I couldn't sustain. I made some very poor decisions out of desperation. I want this part to be clear. I acknowledge that I have done wrong. I made the biggest mistake of my life to make ends meet and got involved with people selling drugs. This is a road I never dreamed of venturing down. I became what is known as a telephone mule, passing messages between distributors and sellers. I participated in a drug conspiracy, and I was wrong. Okay, so that makes it sound like she made some phone calls, right? If you just read that story, she made a few phone calls. If you read it, the left-wing press, then that's all that she did. Here is the actual AP story from when Alice Johnson was sentenced. Okay, this is from 1997. Quote, a 41-year-old Memphis woman was sentenced to life in prison for leading a multi-million-dollar drug ring that dealt in tons of cocaine from 1991 to 1994. Alice Marie Johnson was, quote, the quintessential entrepreneur, said U.S. District Judge Julia Gibbons as she pronounced sentence on Friday. And clearly the impact of 2,000 to 3,000 kilograms of cocaine in this community is very significant. Johnson was tried last year on cocaine conspiracy and money laundering charges, along with Curtis McDonald and Jerlene McNeil. During the trial, evidence showed an operation with Texas-based Colombian drug dealers and their Memphis connections trading tons of cocaine for millions of dollars in cash. McDonald was sentenced earlier this month to life in prison for his part in the cocaine conspiracy and money laundering operation. McNeil received a 19-year sentence. So, no, this was not like she was just sitting on the corner selling some pot. She was running thousands of pounds of cocaine from a Colombian-based drug cartel. And you're not going to get that in the press. All of which is to say, maybe you want to release her from prison. Maybe you want to parole her. Maybe you think that she's done her time. She's been in prison since 1997, so she's been there for 21 years at this point. Maybe you think that she should be released into the general public. That's fine. I don't know why you would do it based on Kim Kardashian's recommendation. And I don't know why you would take celebrities seriously on these issues in the first place, since they're not experts on these issues in the first place. It irritated the living hell out of me when Barack Obama had George Clooney in to talk about Middle Eastern policy. And it drives me nuts when the Trump administration has Kim Kardashian in to discuss prison reform. I'm sorry. There is no level of expertise that Kim Kardashian or George Clooney seem to have. It's one thing if you want to talk to Amal Clooney, right? Amal Clooney apparently actually has some expertise. She used to work at the UN, but you want to talk to people who actually know what they are talking about. I am not sure what Kim Kardashian has expertise on other than branding. She's great at branding, no question. She makes emojis, so there's that. So I guess if there's an emoji summit at the White House, then we can have Kim Kardashian in. But I hate celebrity worship. It drives me up a wall. I've lived my entire life in LA surrounded by people who worship celebrity. It is so stupid, I cannot even tell you. Most celebrities do not know what they are talking about. Most celebrities are not politically aware. Most celebrities are at best tangentially involved with politics. But because they're famous, we think they know everything. The halo effect in the human psyche is really an amazing thing. It really is an amazing thing. Right? The halo effect, which suggests that because somebody is good at one thing, this means they are good at all things. It's a pretty amazing. So we think that because somebody is beautiful, this means they're smart, or because they are rich, it also means that they are wise. Okay, none of this is true. You can be rich and stupid. You can be beautiful and stupid. You can be smart and ugly. All of these things can be true at once.